So hi everyone, and thank you for joining us. We'll start now. Hopefully, people will continue to join us, and it will they'll be able to catch in. I'll let Boas start. He and Arya are the co-founders of Facts Commando, and we'll start with a short introduction to who we are. After that, we have a panel with the 4 students that study in our US and Canadian campuses. We'll hear about their experience and what they're doing to deal with the situation. And then we'll talk a little bit about Facts Commando, our achievements, our goals, and how we would like to continue our activities and become larger and stronger. So, Arya, go ahead.
Boas.
Boas, sorry.
Hello, my friend. My name is Boas. My background is in software development. I'm a software developer, and I have a background in marketing and digital marketing, special organic marketing on the network, on the social networks. Before the wars began, I was between jobs, and when the war is begun, at the beginning of the war, I saw the situation that we have to war not only in the army. We have to fight not only in the army, so we have to fight also in the networks and about the advocacy for Israel. And we saw the rise of anti-Semitism all over the world in hundreds of %. So we have to do something. We can't, sit in the side and not do nothing. You can't do this. So I decided to do what I can to help people from Israel, outside Israel, that love Israel, to help us to spread the pro-Israeli content, because the enemy do a job, that's really hard to tell, it's really hard to see it, but the enemy would do excellent job in the networks, excellent job. And they tell all the world lies, and they have mass of bots and avatars and people that talk, lies and spread lies, and we have to fight against this. So I developed the Commando Hasbara site, or we call it the Facts Commando in English, but we develop it because we understand that we have to create some tools that make the maximum effort with a minimum with minimum effort, maximum impact with a minimum effort. And we built the Facts Commando Hasbara tool. With this tool, we do a lot, but Moran going to talk about this. And the tool is only one side. The second side is not the tool, it's the community. And the community managed by Arya Duvdevani. Arya is my friend from years ago. And Arya is the manager of the community of Facts Commando. And he and Moran to spread as much as we can content for Israel and to fight against the anti-Semitism all over the world. Here, Moran going to deep inside and talk more about what we do. And together we have to fight. This is a long-term fight, and we are here for years. So, Moran.
Thank you, Boaz. And we will talk a lot after the panel with the students that we've invited today about how exactly our technology works and what we do as a community. And I will also welcome questions at the end. But before we go there, we would like to start with the 4 guests that we invited to join us today. All 4 students studying in various years, various programs, different universities along the east coast of the US and Canada. I will let them each introduce themselves. We have Sophie, Kasson, we have Gubbay, Allona, Yehiav, and Rotem, Olsha. We'll start with a short introduction, guys, and then we'll dive into some of the questions that I wanted to ask you so that the community can hear firsthand about your experiences. Sophie, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sophie Kasson. I'm a rising second-year student in the double degree program between Barnard College at Columbia and the Jewish Theological Seminary. I'm studying Middle Eastern Studies with a poli-sci minor at Barnard and Jewish history, and I'm from New Jersey.
Thank you, Sophie. Oh?
My name is Gubbay. I'm a 4th-year student studying international business at Carleton University in Ottawa, and I'm originally from Toronto.
Thank you. Allona?
Hi, everyone. My name is Allona. I'm from Florida Tech. I'm a rising sophomore, and originally I'm from Boston.
Rotem?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rotem. I'm a 4th-year student at the University of North Carolina studying neuroscience, and I'm originally from Toronto.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, I'm going to go back. Excellent. Give me 1 sec. Okay. So we're gonna, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. So we're gonna start with a few just general understanding of the experience that each of you had in the past year, since October 7. And I know all of you had different experiences before and after, and kind of all can draw a line between before and after October 7. But we'll talk a little bit about what do you see, what have you seen at the universities, if at all, and how did you feel about it? That's the biggest one. I think we're going to start with Allona. We're going to start from the south, if you like, and we're going to go all the way up to the north. So Allona, do you want to share with us a little bit about what, if anything, is going on at your university right now?
Yeah, for sure. There have not been any encampments. Not too many protests on campus. I know there have been a couple off campus. It doesn't really usually interact with normal life. The only thing is, like, some students who would wear Magen David, they'd be spat on. So there's just like things to be looking out for, but nothing too in your face.
So you don't really have advocates and demonstrations or violence. However, you do feel already the anti-Semitism, the rise of anti-Semitism, even in your campus, that doesn't have the type of demonstrations we're going to hear from other students. That's interesting. Rotem, going a little bit north, we are now, you're in North Carolina. When you go to school, what's happened on your campus?
Yeah, so following October 7th, there were protests that began both on campus and actually through social media. So this year I wasn't on campus, I was studying abroad, which, I mean, part of me feels very fortunate that I wasn't there really experiencing it, but also, I think it would have been important for me to see it on campus. But I did see a lot of the similar protests being spread on social media. And originally, following, like, shortly after October 7th, even like on the 8th, honestly, it started with concerns for the Palestinians, even though like Israel hadn't even retaliated yet. And so right off the bat, I sort of knew this was going to be a long fight that we were in for. But of course, the concerns for the innocent Palestinians were valid, and so I really didn't see any major problem with it, except that I was a little disappointed about the response, or the lack of response, for Israel and the innocents that had perished, obviously, on October 7th. But over the following months after October 7th, it really quickly shifted into anti-Israel and anti-Semitic, and it was no longer about innocent Palestinians, and definitely was never really about the innocent Israelis. And it was actually about anti-Zionism and anti-Israel and anti-Semitic rhetorics that had been spread in, literally the 40s, the 1940s, were coming up and resurfacing again on campuses today. And so that was really scary to feel. Even though I wasn't physically there, I could definitely see it with posters and slogans, and news reports, social media articles. Everything was being sort of spread like rapid fire. And so that was really scary to see. And then ultimately, this was super harmful to Jewish and even non-Jewish students on campus. Seeing what these students were chanting and how they were chanting it was scary, but it was also just really sad. It was sad to see how quickly, like, a lot of the students had been sort of, I don't know, how they had like succumbed to the lies and the misinformation that was being spread. And I recently heard Dr. John McWhirter, who's actually a linguistics professor at Columbia University, who was calling out a lot of this woke social activism and protests for using global injustices to try to fit into a group. And he was talking about the dangers of this and how this is impacting not only campuses and students, but like every industry in the world. And he was specifically talking about how it was impacting the educational world, the professional world, even our cultural and musical world. Like, everything's starting to sort of shift towards a lot of the dangerous anti-Semitic beliefs that may have started around the Holocaust and are now being re-brought up. And so the encampments were sort of the cherry on top. They were more recent, and the total like escalation of what has been happening since October 7th. And UNC's started on April 26th, but were promptly dismantled by the 30th. So it was really only 4 days of like intense protesting on the lawns of UNC. And that was because a lot of the protesters, weren't even students, and so they didn't even feel like they had to abide by university policies, but B, they were blatantly breaking laws, including taking down the American flag and replacing it with the Palestinian flag, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So UNC definitely took a more aggressive approach to dismantling a lot of these protests. And although I don't necessarily agree with everything that the UNC police and campus police did, ultimately the message had to be sent to students that this is not a lawless land. Like, there are rules, and when those rules are broken, there are consequences. And I think that message was sent. So overall, the experience on campus has been hard to watch, but I think that there is a lot of hope, which we'll get into a little later.
Thank you. So speaking of Columbia University, I think we all have that was mostly broadcasted, especially from the East Coast. We've seen a bunch from LA, but Columbia has been the heart of this situation. So Sophie, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal experience? And I do want to say one thing. Sophie was a freshman this year at Columbia University, and I can only imagine what the challenges of first-year university coming together with the experiences that you had to go through probably weren't easy. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So in April, well, before that, I think Columbia has been a hotbed for anti-Semitic rhetoric to sprout at these protests ever since October 7th. That's kind of become the norm. But things really went to an extreme after the encampments were established, and then there would be daily protests surrounding the campus that originally called for the divestment from Israel and condemning the university's use of police force on students at these encampments. And it shifted very quickly to anti-Israel and anti-Semitic rhetoric. And what became very problematic was nobody took a second to realize the shift that had been taking place, even though a lot of students like myself had tried to call them out on it. Things escalated quite a bit at the very end of April. One of our halls, you might have seen in the news, Hamilton Hall, got taken over, Glass was broken, the building was vandalized, facilities workers inside were not permitted to leave by the students. It was unlike anything I thought I would witness in all of my years of school, let alone just the start. It sparked even more protests. That was a day when I was taking a psych exam and I heard From the River to the Sea, everything right outside of my dorm room. So even though I had tried to avoid the main campus as much as possible and stay in my dorm and hide my Magen David and be as removed from the situation as possible, at some times I truly could not escape it.
I think that we all saw those very violent images, and when you and I chatted before, you were talking about the fact that there was police brutality that tried to bring things under control, but you thought maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. And I thought that was very interesting approach because or view on this, and I wanted you to tell us a little bit about that. Because as a mother sitting, at home and seeing these broadcasts about what's happening in demonstration on universities, my first reaction is, where is the police that will protect my kids and all the Jewish children that are being attacked on the universities? And I thought it was really interesting to hear your point of view on that. So what do you think about that?
I think that the university's choice to resort to, I would call it excessive amounts of police presence and police force, was a bit problematic. I'm wondering if this particular response was because Manoush Shafiq had just had her congressional hearing, and so they kind of wanted to like save face, for lack of better words. But I think a lot of students who had been previously pretty neutral on this whole issue are starting to conceptualize Israel and Palestine as a left versus right issue. And because this is a very generally liberal group of students, as the police get more involved to try and quiet down the protests, because they're against that, they're just going to associate those opinions with the whole cause. And I think it only fueled the fires. So I think that it was a bit of a problematic approach.
And I think that you touched on, the fact that, and I think it was also Rotem was talking about the fact that not all protesters are necessarily students, and some of them are being people outside of campus that are taking the opportunity or actually leading this movement. And I know we've all seen on the news about these students on campuses that they don't know the facts. It's not about the facts for them. It's about searching for a meaning, a cause, not being bored. And then we can see how the mob mentalities is happening, where people are gathering and are chanting without thinking for themselves, without understanding really the meanings of that. And I think that one of the challenges that we've seen, and Boas was talking about it even before October 7, is that there are so many organizations out there that have been fueling the thoughts and basically galvanizing hate. And someone actually compared them to the Hitler Youth. So, I mean, the pictures that you see actually on the screen right now are actually from Carleton University, and thank you, Sophie. I think we'll come back to what you've actually done with this situation in a minute, but I do want to hear from Or, and what you can see on the screen are pictures that Or actually took himself when he was walking through the encampments or around campus. And Or, can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so first of all, just to kind of clarify a bit, I personally was a student at Carleton University. The encampment's been taking place actually since there just isn't enough oxygen for two in the same city, at the University of Ottawa, and I actually live very close to the University of Ottawa. So it's something that's been affecting me now quite heavily, despite the fact that it is also the summer semester. The poster that you see down there was actually put up in November. It's basically saying to free a PFLP terrorist, and it's a group that's tied to the PFLP. They posted that, and that was posted up on my campus in November. Just to give a background of like what my experience as a student at university was. First of all, right after October 7th, me and a bunch of friends decided, we really need to bring awareness to the hostages, and we really decided what we wanted to do was to put up hostage posters. And something that was, I think, still is quite shocking to me. The reaction that we got was people coming up to us, screaming at them, screaming at us, ripping the posters down and saying, "This didn't happen. It's fake news, and if it did happen, it was justified." I was really that moment that I realized. Demographically and people-wise, and like really with the people on campus, they weren't going to let me have basically a room to speak publicly or in an outwards-facing way. So because of that, as a community, we had to kind of look more inwards and to create really spaces for us to express ourselves and defend our rights as Jews on campus. So for one, Jewish professors in the university decided to open up a special place where Jewish students could interact with Jewish professors and really have non-Jewish professors who were allies of Jewish students and have a place to really be there and support them and really talk to each other. And it's been really an incredible experience. That was really an opportunity that came out at the time. Of course, there were other instances that I had later on campus. I had in class once people screamed Yehud at me. I had one time somebody put up a giant Palestinian flag somewhere that wasn't authorized. I took a photo of it, and I was actually 15 minutes later, they found me and they started screaming and filming me, and like it was very uncomfortable. But it is sometimes just the reality of being a very small minority in a student at a university with not just a lot of Arab students, but also a lot of students coming, international students who didn't grow up in Canada and are coming from really brainwashed societies. And I think it's something that I think, especially here compared to America, is something that, and especially here also in Canada, depends on the university, but it can really just depend on where you are. And I think an important thing for everybody to take note of is always to be aware of your situation, your surroundings, and to do what works and is what best for your safety where you are.
Thank you all. So we all talked about all these different organizations that are being led by Arab organizations or Iran or Qatar that are funding, throwing a lot of money at universities and university students, and are really allowing for what we're seeing. So this is one of the things that the Facts Commando was looking at back in October, right after October 7. And we kind of realized that there are all these Arab organizations and they're throwing significant budget to both get an online mass and at the universities. And that's why we see the origin of all these protests, etc., happening at the universities. And it's also, of course, inflaming what we see online. And that together is swaying public opinions that's really resulting in the anti-Semitism we all see. And I think we all share that sort of, I call it the roller coaster feeling of despair and hope. And we go from one to the other since October 7 constantly. We saw some of the experiences that all four of you have experienced, which I'm sure caused you despair. But then there are things that gives you hope. And I think that it was really inspiring for me to hear each and every one of your ways of dealing with it. And basically, I think what we really wanted to tell everyone is that what do we do now? Like, we know that there are a lot of people out there that are fueling the hate and are working together quite united and quite aggressively to have their narrative heard and have their narrative influence all our way of life. So what do we do? And I think we all agree that we have to move to action. We have to have hope, and we have to stay positive, because that's our power. That's how we're going to win this. And we each need to speak up in whatever way or avenue we have. If you are a lawyer, lawyer up. I'm quoting Eitan Chitayat. If you are a student, what do you do? So that's a question that I asked all of you, and hopefully you can share with the group. What have you done, and how do you think that that's going to help us collectively as a cause? Or go ahead.
So, like I mentioned beforehand, there was a space created by the Jewish professors at the university to really bring Jewish students and professors together. And so what was really great was they actually decided. Actually, what happened was, since right next door was a Muslim prayer space and also issues with janitors and stuff, the posters that were put up ended up being ripped off over, I think, 12 or 14 times over the course of the semester. So what happened was they eventually convinced the university to let them put up a board. And actually what happened was, even though to help stop the vandalism, somebody had the great idea that for each poster ripped down, they would donate some money to Magen David Adom. And there's a little statement that at the bottom saying, for every poster ripped down, we'll turn your darkness into light. I think that was something very cool because it kind of, although we were like a minority, we were able to kind of use our tools to have a bit more power. As well on campus, I've been very involved with speaking many, many times to campus safety with things about like really problematic posters that have been put up, harassment that I faced on campus, my friends have faced on campus. And through that relationship, we were actually able to really do things like defend the Center for Jewish Studies. When, for example, there was a protest going through campus, they wanted to storm through it because they were really angry because there was trips going to Israel. And in another instance, there was somebody who was a speaker named Sami Khamdi who was going around glorifying October 7th, and we were able actually to use our connections with campus safety to kind of inform them, and behind the scenes they let them know they found some technicality to really get them off campus. And just through these ways, we were able to kind of just through the back end get a lot more influence and make sure to keep ourselves safe. And even to the day, the university has been very proactive in really stopping any sort of encampment from forming. They fenced off the inner courtyard. They've done really a lot of work. And I really commend them. Obviously, not everything that student safety does is necessarily perfect. There are things that are very bureaucratic. One time, for example, I was followed around and people were yelling at me and they said basically, oh, it's because they recognized you from a video. So it wasn't anti-Semitic. So I was like, okay. And or also there's been instances where posters have been put up and they said, oh, they're not anti-Semitic because we talked to them and it wasn't their intentions. When it's like a fist fighting against the Zionist snake. That was like one of the posters that was put up. So it can be very difficult, but overall, we have had a very positive relationship. And it's really made me feel a lot safer on university. I know it's a place with security cameras everywhere. And it's not somewhere that I feel necessarily that my physical safety is at risk, and it's really made me a lot more comfortable showing up and coming to campus.
So I think I just want to make sure that everybody caught that because I thought it was brilliant the way you chose to deal with vandalism against the posters of the hostages. I think this is something that we were all shocked after October 7. I don't think anybody thought in for a second that putting up a poster to advocate for the return of a hostage can be somehow misconstrued as something wrong. And I think we were all shocked, but instead of just being shocked, what you guys did is you basically said, okay, for every one poster that you're going to rip, we're going to donate that much money to Magen David Adom, and we're going to support Israel. And I think that kind of helped. Of course, at the end of the day, what really helped is the glazed box that we can see on the picture. But we know that they could have vandalized that too, like we've seen that too. But I guess they chose not.
If you see, there's a little Palestine sticker that was put on. There's been also one time it was unlocked and somebody put push pins in the eyes of the hostages, which is very unfortunate. One good thing actually is that other members of the Jewish community here in Ottawa actually heard about it and ended up matching the donation. Originally, it was $1 per poster, and it's been brought up now. It's over $800 have been donated because people chose to match.
Amazing. Thank you. We're going to move to Sophie, back to Sophie. So Sophie, like I said, your university was probably the most on the news. And we heard a lot about it, but I don't know if everybody heard what you've done personally, as well as the Jewish community, the students, Jewish students on campus, who wrote an amazing letter that I was totally inspired just reading it. But we're going to start with you. So you wrote an article to the Jerusalem Post, and it's titled "Freshman Fear." I guess a play on the word freshman year. And tell us a little bit about why you chose to write this article.
So I thought it was important for students in my university and anywhere going through something like this to be as vocal as possible about their experiences. I think getting it and writing it and getting it as much publicity as possible is key during these times, because I think going forward, people are going to start to look back and realize, oh, I was part of the cause that brought so much pain upon these students. I think that's important. And I think that advocating for, in my piece and in the open letter written by leaders of students supporting Israel, um, both kind of have a hopeful note to them of like aiming toward having mature civil discourse and consistently advocating for that to exist more frequently, both on campuses and in the real world. I think that those were really important to do.
Thank you. And I think it's really helpful from a Hasbara perspective because, putting a face to the problem and a personal note, and it's not just a story about a student or generally speaking, I think it really brings the message home. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And I did ask you, because the letter that was written by your fellow students and a lot of people from your friends and from the students, and I think faculty as well, signed that beautiful letter. I did ask you to choose a quote from it, and you can see the quote here, and it basically says, "Our tradition tell us, love peace and pursue peace. We hope you will join us in it earnestly, pursuing peace, truth, and empathy. Together, we can repair our campus." And I thought it was interesting that you chose that out of everything else that was said in a very long letter. And I think that's really the end of the letter and sort of what the essence of it. You want to tell us why did you choose that quote?
Yeah, so like I've said, I think that one of the most important things to do in this time is to maintain hope and to keep aspiring towards these goals of civil discourse and more unity on campus and in the greater environment during these times. So this uplifting ending really resonated with me for those reasons. And I think that the more we all preach mature conversation with people who may not necessarily and allow them to better understand why supporting Israel is so important and why it is so important to stand with Jewish people in these times of need, rather than, I think that might get to people more on an individual level in addition to posting on social media, because then you can really relate one to one.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sophie. So now we're going to go down south, back to Florida. Allona, you told us that there was not a lot of encampments, or there was no encampment, and not a lot of demonstration in where you are studying, but there was some feeling of the rise of anti-Semitism, and you took a different approach of how to deal with it. I just want to add that at your university, there's not a lot of Jewish students. So you made some choices there. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So for starters, Florida Tech is definitely a smaller school, and I think that's why there weren't as many protests and encampments. It's also a private school, so if the university sees you in a protest, like it's like, oh, that's Gary. Like there's like who that person is, and that kind of scares people because they don't want to be kicked out of the school. And so that led to less protests, or no encampment, which was nice. But I also felt very alone in my Judaism. And I mean, my parents are Israeli, so there wasn't anybody to share my language with, which was unfortunate. But there's one day where, I mean, we were trying to create a Jew club, me and my friend. This is a little bit after October 7th, and we were just hanging out on the yard, and it came up, and all the kids with us, there was about like 6 of us. It turned out that we were all Jewish. And we were like, no way, you guys should join the club. And there was kind of like this immediate like, no, like my parents told me to stay away from that stuff now, like make sure to keep a low profile. And I can understand that also. I think I also kind of grew up with similar ideals. My mom would always say like, don't die over ideologies because life is more important. So I could definitely understand where they're coming from. And my friend actually like looked into it a little bit more, and turns out there's more than 100 Jews on campus.
How big is your campus, Allona? Like in percentages, are we talking about like 100 kids are Jewish in your campus? Is that 10% of your campus roughly, or is it 1%?
I don't know how much of a percentage that is, and that's also only from word of mouth, right? Like that's not
Okay.
from, so it's just like we were able to talk to people and we like listened, oh, this person's Jewish, this person's Jewish. So we counted like
But people
over,
are hiding it. People are hiding
yes,
it. Okay.
people are definitely hiding, and they felt very uncomfortable coming to the club even. And at the end, we ended up having a lot of the Christian community come to the club, which was nice because they were able to, you know, I don't know like the ins and outs of Judaism, right? You know, I celebrate the holidays, but the Christians who were devoted were actually able to, like we did a Jeopardy, right? And they were able to answer more questions than I was about my own faith. So it was cool, and I think it gave them the perspective of like, oh, like, you know, it's like Judaism is a religion. There's no need to, you know, create monsters out of, you know, where
I think it's beautiful that you open the door to talk to people that maybe didn't have the opportunity of meeting someone with Israeli background, let's call it, because I know you were not born in Israel, but you are raised by very Israeli parents. So you know, I think it's interesting, and it's very important that we do that, because that's how we get our allies. And I think it's very brave to come up with a organization or a club where everybody else is hiding. It's unfortunate that kids feel like they need to hide, and I wonder if the university should do more. I don't know if you have an opinion about that. You know, do you feel like your university should or could have done more to give you a sense of safety, so you will be able to not hide your Judaism, or you feel like they've done everything they can and it's out of their control?
I think that they've not even tried.
Okay.
And I think there's, you know, I understand it because there isn't we have a large Muslim community. There's a lot of transfer students that transfer from Arab countries. So they're very focused on the Muslim majority. And so I think they don't really look at like Judaism as a problem on campus. You know, it's kind of shown like in like smaller ways, like for like Muslim holidays, there's like a big feast in the dining room, and then for Israeli holidays or Jewish holidays, there's nothing. There was one day where we had like a free speech board where you can say whatever you want. There's a lot of like death to Israel. So it wasn't death to Jews per se, but you know, the hatred was definitely showing, and nothing was really done about that. So I think they definitely, and you know, the kid was spat on and nobody did anything about that. I think they definitely could have done more, but since it's a minority, I think we kind of roll under.
It's interesting that, you know, some universities choose to side with the minorities, which is why we see the pro-Palestinian voice loud and clear in some universities, and in some, like your university, it's actually the reverse. It's because they are the majority, we're allowed. It's almost like it doesn't matter if you're majority or minority. There is anti-Semitism that kind of chooses the other side. And I think that staying vocal and being proud but is important, but being safe is more important, like your mom says. So I'm there with your mom on that one. Thank you, Allona. So Rotem, you mentioned the incident with the flag and what happened on your campus. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I can start by telling you a little about the photo. So in late April, when the encampment started, at some point, the American flag was taken down and replaced by the Palestinian flag, and the Palestinian flag was up for several hours. And the university wasn't doing much about it. And so students decided to take charge and believe that that wasn't right. And so they actually came and took down the Palestinian flag and put up the American flag. And I think it was sort of a sign of support for Jewish students, but also just the support for, the land that we're standing on, like the freedoms that we have, and the part of coming together as a team and being like, this isn't right. Like, you have the right to protest. But this is going too far, and showing that to students and faculty was a huge sort of eye opener. But actually, I'm also going to be mentioning the comment that Eti Ben David put, what about pro-Palestinian Jewish students? And this has been like a huge topic of discussion. I think it's been honestly, one of the most sad parts about all of these protests and encampments is the true division between being pro-Israel and being pro-Palestinian. And I think that comes from a lack of education, mostly. And I think that it is actually the job of a lot of Jewish students who are also pro-Palestinians to take pride in the fact that they're Jewish, and that there is a need for a Jewish homeland, and that Israel can exist simultaneously while also being pro-Palestinian. But that also doesn't necessarily mean you cannot be critical of the Israeli government, right? Like, there are things about the Israeli government that maybe you disagree with. And I think one of the biggest things that's happening on campuses right now is that people are being forced to pick sides without even being educated that there's like a middle ground. And being Jewish does not inherently make you anti-Palestinian. In fact, the word anti-Palestinian isn't even used. It's not really a term, because I don't really know of any anti-Palestinians, right? But there is anti-Israels and people who are anti-Israel. And so I think that that division is actually the most detrimental part of the entire situation. And being able, and I think actually Sophie mentioned it a little too, like in her article that she wrote, which I highly recommend you read, being able to see both sides and acknowledging that there is a Palestinian struggle is crucial and should be done. And I think that like being a Jewish student and also having the ability to be knowledgeable about the Palestinian struggle is crucial. And being knowledgeable about it gives you the power to then educate these people about what Israel is. And I actually have like a personal story about this. I was at a friend's house who grew up in Senegal, and that's a predominantly Muslim country in Africa. So when he found out I was Jewish, he was actually shocked. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you're the first Jewish person I've ever met." And I was like, "Oh, well, like, I mean, if you have any questions, like, please, like, I'm happy to answer, like, talk about it." And I'm not super acquainted with Israel's history or the Jewish history, but that never even came up. It's like the fact that there are people right now today that still villainize Jewish people. Like, it wasn't about history. It wasn't about Palestine. It wasn't about any of that. It was like, wow, I've never met someone like this. And I grew up hating you guys. And those are quotes. He was like, yeah, like, I grew up in a society that villainized Jewish people. And these same beliefs are being spread and pushed on American society, American students who aren't really willing to question it. And I think that's the biggest problem. And having the power to be Jewish, but also advocate for the facts is huge. And I think that honestly is, you know, the representation of students putting up the American flag is one small example of giving hope of like, we are in this together, and like, this isn't the end, but we each have a duty to, especially as Jewish students, to share this knowledge, because a lot of it is just coming from complete misinformation and like just not even knowing someone. So anyways, I ended up talking to him for hours about, you know, what it means to be Jewish. And he goes at the end of the conversation, he goes, you know, Rotem, like you've really changed my perspective. You've really changed my perspective on Jewish people and on Israel. And I've met, you know, and he's like, you know, and now I'm going to go out of my way and learn more about Judaism. I think it's beautiful. And I really, really am so ashamed that I believed what people were saying as a child, and like I carried those beliefs into the United States. I think that's so wrong, and I'm so glad I met you. And it doesn't seem like a lot, you know, it seems like one person, like what does that even do? It is a lot. It makes a huge difference. You know, he's going to grow up now seeing a completely different view on Israel, a completely different view on Jewish people. He's going to raise children with these new and updated modern views and beliefs, and it helps. It really does. And I think one of the greatest things that we all have is now the ability to do it so easily. Like, you don't really have to have those intimate conversations with people, because they can be scary, and it is intimidating and daunting to have a conversation about your Judaism with someone who grew up hating Jews. Like, I get that, and I don't expect, and I wouldn't want to put anyone in a position to feel like they have to be having those conversations. But with Facts Commando, it is literally 5 minutes of your day, and you could actually change somebody's perspective on things. And I think that is what's so beautiful. So specifically to Eti Ben David and Wilson Chen, who also liked the comment, and I just liked it as well. I highly recommend watching Rudy Rockman, who's also known as Rudy Israel. He actually created a video of him at Columbia University labeled "One Israeli versus Entire Encampment," and he demonstrates just how to engage with these protesters in a meaningful way. And of course, it starts by acknowledging Palestinians and acknowledging their points, but he also does reveal the facts. And if you become acquainted with the facts, if you are knowledgeable, you will be able to help people. You're helping the cause, you're helping yourself. You really are. And again, I just want to reiterate, like, being pro-Israel, being, you know, a Zionist, being Jewish does not mean you are anti-Palestinians. That is not a thing. So yeah, again, I think Facts Commando and Hasbara has made a huge impact, and, you know, pushed a lot of boundaries that people might be scared to have, like these confrontations face to face. So yeah.
Thank you, Rotem. And that's a kind of good segue to talk a little bit more about what we do at Facts Commando. And yes, you know, obviously the name tells it all. Rotem is my daughter, so she did give me a little bit of support here, but she is participating in Facts Commando from the beginning, and I think that it's about what you were saying, Rotem, about the safety and the feeling that, you know, you don't have to have that interaction necessarily, although those are probably the most powerful ones, but it's the ability to do so much more in a quick, you know, few minutes. So we'll talk a little bit about Facts Commando. Before I do that, I do want to thank very, very much the 4 students that joined us, and that for taking the time and sharing with us all of your thoughts. And please continue to do the great work that you're doing, each one of you in your own way and your own opportunities that you know that you have. In any way that you can do that, because I do believe that, you know, spreading the truth and telling the facts will help us to change the narrative and win the narrative back. So thank you very, very much. Just kind of to wrap up a little bit of our conversation, and I won't take too much of your time. Most of the people on the call are members of Facts Commando, and you are aware of what we're doing. But I do want to remind you a bit what we're up against. And I think we all understand that while the students are fighting anti-Semitism on campus, and we're all seeing it everywhere, it's the media, it's the form where the battle is really being fought. This is where propaganda has been very successful and very strong for the past probably 20 years, and we were kind of late to the party, quote unquote. We didn't make it in time, and we all kind of woke up right after October 7. And one of the things, we all started independent Hasbara is what we call it. We all started posting different posts about Israel, posts that we got from a friend. But who are we really posting to? We're really posting to our friends. And what Boas and Arya concluded or realized is that we are kind of creating an echo chamber, because if you're telling the same people that know you and support you the same story that they're hearing, it's important. Don't stop doing that, because it is encouraging and giving hope for all of us. And we share information, and you never know if we got access to that specific content that you reach somehow. However, how do we really reach the masses? How do we really fight propaganda that has been going on for 20 years and been funded heavily? How do we do that? So we realized that there are really 4 problems. The first problem is the access to effective content. So some content we may think is really great, cool, inspiring, but how effective is it? Well, Facts Commando is actually using basically content that's proven to be effective, because it's been popular, and the Facebook algorithm have shown us that it will not be removed. They will be able to continue to use it. There's lack of strategy when we do it individually, when we're not following, what are the target market? Who do we want to say what to? What's more effective? What's less effective? Do we have the time to do this? These are all coming together to a lack of strategy when we do it ourselves. Then there's inconsistency. We sometimes take one side, the other side. It's very difficult to follow a thread of a message. And then, of course, it's the limitation or the ineffective distribution. How much can we really distribute, and are we really just distributing it to our friends within our circle? Essentially, we call it the startup nation is fighting back. So Boas, who told you he has the background in technologies and website, and he came up with this technology with a group of developers. And basically what the idea is that we find the effective content, we add to it from a professional team that adds the writing. We identify the target markets. We utilize technology and AI to target the right groups. We check performance analysis to ensure that we are reaching with our technology as many people as we can. And last and most important is we did develop a technology that with 2 clicks allows us to do a wide distribution, and as was said, minimum effort for maximum impact. So I'm sure all of you are familiar with this screen. We give you posts. With 2 clicks, you are able to join a group on Facebook that's usually a neutral group, that if we don't put our content there that is pro-Israeli, that it's true fact, that talks about the situation, that advocates for Israel and Judaism, someone else will. And that someone else is probably going to be funded by propaganda and open their mind to to lies, and not allow us to be able to fight it. So that's why we think that
Hello,
technology.
this is a video on how we do our task. Our system will load a post. You can watch it or ask for a different post, or you can proceed to preview the post by clicking on the preview button. Here, you can see the name of the group and the text proposed for the post. You can change either the group or text on this screen. Once you click share, the system will copy the post and text to your clipboard and take you to the group on Facebook. In this case, I already joined this group, but if you didn't, this is where you join the group. You then paste the post where it tells you to write something, then you wait to see your post loading and wait until a confirmation message shows up at the bottom. Thank you.
I'm surprised because I didn't realize the video was there, but hopefully that helped you to see how we do our tasks. But that's a technology, and as we all spoke about, what is a technology worth it if we don't have the human side of things that can actually do what these 4 very brave students have been doing on campus. So, we have the best technology, but without people that would actually operate it, it really is nothing. So this is why the technology, it starts with the technology, but obviously it's the community that makes it happen. and it's the community that writes the content that is a very helpful community that we also have that makes it valuable and effective. So what have we done so far? Since October 7, our community grew to 15,000 people from all around the world, mainly from Israel, but also from North America, Australia, Europe, South Africa, everywhere you can think of. We have in our community Jews and non-Jews. We have a variety of opinions. We are not political, so anyone can join us. It's not about advocating for any political party or approach. This is really about spreading the truth and telling people the facts. So since October 7, we've actually posted 550,000 posts, so over 500,000 posts. And those posts have generated 400 million expression. And I think it's really important to understand the gap or the difference between the number of posts that we do and the actual expressions. And expressions means anything between likes or even dislikes, comments, reshares, etc. And you can see how relatively small effort, when you think about it, generates a much, much bigger impact. So, if we're each doing 1 or 3 or 6 posts a day, it doesn't matter if you're only doing little ones, just less. It's every post counts. So the more you can do, the better it is. What are our goals? Our goals is to advocate for Israel so that we can sway public opinions and we can fight anti-Semitism around the world. Very simple but ambitious goals. And what are our targets this year? We are hoping to reach 1 billion expressions. So we're just shy of half of our target, and also just shy of half of the year. So we really hope we're going to be able to make that target. We are hoping to reach 1 million posts. We were hoping to increase our community from 15,000 people to 20,000 people, and this is where we need your help. Sorry, did someone want? Okay, sorry. And then currently we're publishing in English and Spanish. We're hoping to publish in other languages. We're hoping to be able to publish in French and Arabic to reach more demographics that would benefit from knowing the facts and help our cause. We're hoping to publish on 5 platforms. Today we're only publishing on Facebook, but we're working on being able to do the same thing in other platforms. And one of the things we're also trying to improve is the match between specific content to specific target market, if you like, specific group on Facebook, basically using AI, which is one of the features we're working on. So we are at the end of the webinar, and I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us. You being here shows that you are taking the historical opportunity to influence the future of the state of Israel and the Jewish people. You clearly are taking part one way or another in this effort. And we need you to help us to grow and to continue our activities, whether it's by doing the tasks or bringing some more people to join us, whichever way you can help us, that would be great. Thank you, everyone. And
so wait, there's actually there's actually a bunch of questions
to get to the okay. Am I there? Okay, I think I am. Thank you, Rotem. I'm going to start from the end because that's probably where the questions are. What about X, formerly Twitter? So I see here Boas answers that this is part of our goals, but it takes a lot of development. So one of the things I'd like to share with everyone is that this organization is 100% volunteers based, and it's not easy. It started relatively, it was easier, right after October 7. A lot of people didn't work. A lot of people were devastated and had the time to be able to share with us. and that's what we've done. However, as time passes, people are sort of getting back to their routines, and we have less and less time to be able to devote to the development. So it's one of the challenges that we're dealing with as an organization, and we have set out a way to donate funds for us to be able to do that, but that's a different conversation. And if you're on the group, you know that I do share a link that allows you to do that, or if you have a contact or ideas of any kind of funds or source that we can support development, that would be great. So, okay, there's now a question. When we post, we don't have to join each group for it to be posted, right? The answer is yes, you don't have to join the group to be able to post. However, when you do join a group, your post becomes more effective for a number of reasons. One is the platform, the Facebook platform. If you are a member of the group, it's going to put your post more often for all other members of the group. And also member of groups tend to look at messages that are coming from members of the group more seriously than from people that are outside of the group. So if you are comfortable to join the group, if you know, please do, because it does make it more effective. But if you're not, you're right, you can still post the post on the group without joining it.
Can I just sorry that on
That's
that
okay.
point, hello, on that point, when you're talking about the Facebook group, you're talking about the Facts Commando Facebook group. Is that the group that you're talking about?
Correct. Facts Commando.
Right. So isn't it like someone mentioned before, we are posting to people who are already convinced.
So there's two
how
things.
do we get to the people who are not convinced?
So there's two things that we need to understand. So first of all, we have a database of groups that, yes, some of them are totally pro-Israel, some of them are neutral, and some of them are on the fence. Why do we do this? So you will see, so there's a couple of things. The first thing is Facebook algorithm will reject or hide some content if people complain about it, or groups will not allow you to post in their group if they are completely anti-Israeli. So there's no point to go to the brainwashed. You're not going to convince them. So what's the advantage of going to groups that are pro-Israeli? Two advantages. One is on those groups, there's more going to be people that will welcome and add expression to it, and then they will make those posts more popular. So when someone from that group takes that post and shares it in a group that is anti-Israeli, and someone is complaining about it, that post is going to be identified by the algorithm as a true and strong post, and they won't be able to remove it that fast. So by creating a lot of expressions around our post, by going to pro-Israeli communities, we are making those posts stronger so they can basically travel across social media without being reported as something that should be removed.
Yeah, I
And then,
understand.
yeah, and then the second part is, like I said, there are people on those groups that, yes, they're pro-Israeli, but they need, you know, fresh and new posts that they can repost somewhere else, share it with their circle. So that's how we get to potentially people that are totally anti-Israel or just don't know anything about us.
So from here, what we need
I want to
do-
say something more for you, Chen Wilson.
Sarit, כן.
Sarit.
Okay.
Okay. Facts Commando is the WhatsApp group. In the WhatsApp group is where our community work, and from our group we share the post, not for us. No, we share the posts for groups around the world, and these groups is 65% gray groups, neutral groups, and about 35% is pro-Israeli. Okay, so most of the groups is not pro-Israeli, it's in the middle, somewhere in the middle, and that's the main goal. We want to to convince this audience. That's the main audience. The smaller audience is what Moran talked before, and that's it.
So as a person who's not computer savvy, the next thing to do from here is to join, because I'm in a lot of like groups, like WhatsApp groups, but that doesn't lead me anywhere other than reading and agreeing to Facebook page, because it's not that big, and you know, it's not there. I would like to be able to post, promote, like, and you know, perhaps share a lot of things on a page like Facts Commando, if it was like a Facebook page.
Okay, you're not posting on your own Facebook page. You're joining a group or not joining a group and posting to another group. You're not posting, like when you post to a group, your Facebook page, your friends are not seeing your post. You're posting to another group. And that
So let me go back. Let me go back to that video. It went very fast, but this is what this looks like. You're not posting. You're right. Thank you. I'm not sure who made that comment, but it's a good comment. It's the truth. Iris, thank you, Iris. So we're not posting on. That's exactly the point, because if you post on your feed, there's going to be very few people that are going to see it. So where do you post? So when you're part of our WhatsApp group, we send you a link. When you press the link, it takes you to this tool, and I'll show again how that works. But essentially, it's going very fast. So I'll just walk you first through this, and then we'll see the video quickly. So the idea is that basically you are getting to this platform. It gives you a content. You can choose to change the content if you're not happy with it or you're not familiar with it. If you're happy with it and you like it, you press I want to share it. Once you say you're sharing it, it actually sends you to a public group online on Facebook. Usually there are about 1,000 members on those groups or more. They're public. They're open to anyone to be able to post in them. Those groups are sometimes pro-Israeli, sometimes anti-Israeli, sometimes anywhere in between. You can also change the groups if you like, by the way. And then once you are in that group, you can either join it or not. Ideally, you join it, and then you basically paste the post. So we'll see in a second. Right now, I'm going to just press on this video so you can see how that works. And if there's more questions, maybe you can contact me directly, and I can walk you through that. Is that okay? I just want to take more questions from the rest of the group. Oh, of course, I went to the beginning. Give me one sec. Just going to go to that video.
So can I verbally ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so I've been, Moran, I spoke with you, and I've been, trying every day to post, the 3 posts on the Facebook groups, which do not post to my Facebook friends. They post to public groups that help, promote, our agenda. I don't understand the likes and the comments, because if I like or comment something, I am questioning if my Facebook friends will see those likes in the comments. Like, I don't care for my Facebook friends who are all pro-Israel. I don't care for them to see my likes and comments. I don't want that. So I don't understand. Like, so I'm all good on the posts, all right? But the likes and the comments, I don't understand, and I would appreciate an explanation.
Okay, so let's park that question. It's a good question, and I noticed there were other questions, people asking about it. I'm just gonna run that video one more time, and then we're gonna park the actual activity of posting on Facebook, and then we'll talk about likes and comments. Thanks.
Hello, this is a video on how we do our task. Our system will load a post. You can watch it or ask for a different post, or you can proceed to preview the post by clicking on the preview button. Here, you can see the name of the group and the text for the post. You can change either the group or text on this screen. Once you click share, the system will copy the post and text to your clipboard and take you to the group on Facebook. In this case, I already joined this group, but if you didn't, this is where you join the group. You then paste the post where it tells you to write something, then you wait to see your post loading and wait until a confirmation message shows up at the bottom. Thank you.
So again, the link to the tool comes on our Facebook, WhatsApp group, and then you're able to do the post. Now the question about likes and comments. So likes and comments increase the exposure or the expression of each one of our posts. And the idea is that you like and comments other people's posts and not yourselves. And then basically by that we're increasing the exposure, we're improving the state of those posts and then the content. How you do this, I'm gonna try, and bear with me because technology, people who know me knows it's not my strong suit. But if I go to our tool, I should be able to show you a quick demonstration.
But if you like and comment on somebody else's content, does your Facebook groups immediately, does your Facebook friends, do they immediately see what you've liked or commented in other groups? I think not. I just don't know. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Boas, can you answer that for us? Because I'm not sure.
What's the question again?
Let me, so
Do you
if,
want me to ask it in Hebrew?
yes, go ahead. Yes,
Okay.
please.
אוקיי, היי. אז השאלה שלי כזו, בסדר? שעושים לייק או קומנט. אני לא רוצה שכל החברים שלי בפייסבוק יראו את כל הלייקס וקומנטס. מה שאני אוהבת אצלכם, הפוסט, אתה עושה פוסט בגרופ אחר, סבבה? עכשיו, אם אני עושה לייק וקומנט, הפייסבוק פרנדס שלי, הם יראו את הלייק וקומנט, או רק בקבוצות הם יראו את הקומנט?
Okay, so I answer in English, it's okay. The algorithm of Facebook is increase the exposure of the post inside the group, because you post inside the group, so you understand that the group is the main goal and your friend is not part of the group, so it's not no, I don't think your friend is going to see every post or every like in somewhere else group, but sometimes it can be, sometimes, but not most of the times. What about 99%? I didn't see my friends that's not from the Commando. Yes, a lot of my friends is here in the Commando now, but my friends that not from the Commando, I didn't see likes from them. So, and I do a lot of posts, a lot, from the start of the war. So the most of the people that see what you do, it's only the people from the group, the relevant group.
So I think, Boaz, the answer is that they don't really see it, but they could. Sometimes we do see, and like sometimes I get a message that my friend Boaz has liked this or has commented on this, but it's usually actually, I see that for Instagram, not so much for Facebook. But it could come on your feed. So if you're worried about that, that's a different conversation. Okay, I hope that answered. But now I'm
create a dummy account and you work around it.
Yeah, we've seen that done by some people. That's another way of going around it. You know, it's really up to you. But in any event, the idea of commenting and liking is what, you know, Boaz was saying, is to make those posts more popular. And the idea is that we want to really advocate. And I was fortunate and unfortunate sometime to get into conversations on Facebook about a post where I had some haters go at me, as they say, and I've generated a whole conversation. And it's interesting because sometimes the conversation ends with, I see your point, but we agree to disagree, or I see your point, thank you. Or, they just continue, and then you're talking to somebody that's brainwashed. But in any event, those conversations, I spend a lot of time answering them as clear as I can, because I know that other people are reading it. So if somebody saw my post that provided content that is pro-Israeli, and then someone in the post said, hey, it's all lies, then my responses and the interaction, and often the ones that are brainwashed, it's when they start talking, you can see it. The language becomes foul, they become frustrated, and we try to stay as calm and to the point and factual. And I really feel like that's also helping us, our cause. I hope that helps you. Just to explain to you what our tool for comments are, you're able to go in here, and when you press on comments, it gives you a subject here. So you can get pre-made comments about international organization, or you can change the subject. And when you can change the subjects, let's say that I really want to make comments about a post that relates to hostages, because that's something that really touches me, and I really want to do that today. So I change it to hostages, and then it gives me applicable to it. So let's say that I'm not very happy about that comment. So there's unacceptable behavior or stand against terrorism, and you can keep flipping through those, and then it takes you to the actual post. And this is the post here that talks about the hostages. I'm sure you all are very familiar with this post. It's one of the very familiar.
I don't think you're sharing the right page. At least not for me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you share only the presentation.
Oh, no.
PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
I wish you told me before. Give me a second. Let me see. I was talking to myself. Okay. I think I'm sharing now.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just finish this, and then I'll do another explanation. Okay. Let me start over. So you go through our link, you finished your 3 posts, then it will give you this option that says comments on post. I press on this, and it takes me to this page. In here, it gives me a pre-made comments, and it's telling me that the topic that it will give me the comments are supporting Israel. And there is an example here of a comment. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. I'm doing something to make good triumph over evil. So that's a comment that you can choose to post for a post that is supporting Israel. You could just at that point go to comment, or you can either change the comment. If you still want to see different comments, you can see when you change the comment, it also changes the subject. So in this, it changed me from supporting Israel to anti-Semitism. But if I want to be very specific, I actually want to comment about the hostages. So I can go to change the subject. I go to subject to hostages. I say continue. And now it's giving me a comment. And I can choose to just proceed. Or if I want to change the comment, see other options, I can continue until I see a comment that I like. So this one I like. The suffering endured by these hostages at the hand of Hamas is a stark reminder of the urgent need for action. We cannot stand by while innocent lives are at risk. So I go to comment. It's now going to take me to Facebook to a post about the hostages. So it took me to this post here, which we're all familiar with. You can see I've already liked it. I go to the comment section, and I basically paste the comment that they had there that I took from the system, and I post it. I can then continue to take that comments and place it on other related posts like this one about Phil, or I can just go back to the system and get more comments. And you can see I can also when I did that, I realized I did not like this one yet, so I will like it. And the idea is that this way we are increasing the exposure and making our post that much stronger. I hope that helps.
Yes.
The
Every
last
comment,
question here that I
tweet.
see.
Okay, one more.
Go ahead, last one.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying that. Oh, sorry. Go.
I want to say that every comment create about 15-20% more engagement, every comment, and it's exponential. So 5 comments, it's not 100% more engagement, it's about 150% extra engagement. So it's really, really hard tool to use, and it's really, really important. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Boaz. Rotem, was that you?
Is coming from the fact that some people just aren't in the WhatsApp group yet. So I just sent a link to join the WhatsApp group. Is this the right link? Can you just make sure that I sent the right one, because there's 2 people who just requested to join.
Facts Commando. Yeah, this is what.
Yeah, it should be. I should be able to see it. Give me a second. Yeah, I have 2 new requests from 2 different numbers. So I will be responding to you. Usually we have a bit of communication, and if you can remind me that you requested through the webinar, it will make it easier for me to let you in. We do try to vet people so that we are only letting people who will support us into the group. So thank you for that, and I'll see you there, and then you'll be able to see the link and we'll be able to participate. Thank you, Rotem, for adding that, and we will send a message after this, and we will be able to provide the link for anyone else who would like to join, as well as share it with anyone else that that would like to join us. I'm going to try quickly to go through the questions. And I first of all, thank you everyone for joining. And if you want to drop, it's really long, and I feel like I'm holding people too long here. But if you want to stay around a little bit longer, I will go through the questions and try to answer as much as I can. Okay. So thank you again for everyone for attending, and I'm going to try to go up. Okay. I see a lot of people answering. Okay, there's a question here. Bottom line, do I have to join WhatsApp group in order to like and post? If so, what's the link? So I think we've answered that, and we will share the link again. I'm having a hard time scrolling up. I don't know if it's just me. What am I doing wrong?
That's not very good.
Okay, let's see if I can find more questions. What about pro-Palestinian Jewish students? I think we kind of saw that a little bit. I don't know if Eti is still on the line, but I don't think that, as Rotem was saying, there isn't really anti-Palestinian or pro-Palestinian. I think that it's about talking about the facts, and it does not negate one from the other. And I'm not sure if you are still on the line, Eti, if you would like to explain a little bit more. What do you mean by that? So interesting, Dorit was telling us that at the Florida Tech, there are 4,242 students. So if the word to mouth is right, and there's only 100 students that are Jewish there, you can see it's a very small minority.
Again, that's just from word of mouth. Like it was just from people that we knew. I'm sure that there's a lot more Jews, but that was just asking around the people that we knew, and we found 100.
So thank you, Rotem, for sharing the link to that video. I'll share that with the full group later on as well. I'm sure that's going to be helpful. A lot of thank yous. That's great. And then we talked about the former Twitter. So it's really about being able to invest more in development. And then we talked about the Facts Commando WhatsApp group. Signing off. Answer, yes, it is possible if the group was react.
Was that the impact on the crush?
Moran, can I just ask you, when I request to join the WhatsApp group, it's saying open in WhatsApp business. I don't want to open in WhatsApp business. I just want to open in WhatsApp regular.
You don't need, I'm not sure why you're getting that message.
And then it does also say waiting for admin approval. So does that mean that I did something correctly?
Yes, you did. You should be getting a message from me shortly.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to...
And are you guys part of Blue and White Hasbara and deleting their lies? Is that you?
Yeah, so we are actually, we have, these are 3 separate communities that came together to work together. So a lot of our community members are members in all 3 of them or some of them. We've about a couple of months ago, I think, we met with the other 2 groups that you just mentioned, Kahol Lavan and giving them likes. And we are working together with them because at the end of the day, we all have the same agenda. We all have the same goal, right? So that's...
So if I go into deleting their lies and I do what they say, click on the 3 dots, depending what platform it is, submit submit report, whatever. Is that the same thing that Facts Commando are doing? Because it doesn't sound like
not,
it.
it's different. So again, the end goal, we're both, like both groups are trying to improve Hasbara and advocacy and fight anti-Semitism, but we're doing it in different ways. So what you're describing is where we actually, there's different, the giving them like is going and giving likes to different pro-Israeli content, reporting content is another option. And then what we're doing is different. We are providing more content online that is all pro-Israeli. And as I showed you, it's a very quick way of doing it. And we also allow you to be able to do comments and likes to our content on Facebook. It's a very specific to Facebook.
Okay, and so your WhatsApp channel will prompt us and tell us, like deleting their lies does, you will tell us exactly step by step what to do.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's really the same step by step, but it's more of a reminder that we send our group twice a day to do the task. And like I said, if you can't make it twice a day and you do it only once a day, and that's fine. As much as you can do, that's what we're asking.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Perfect. Any other question while I'm here?
Yeah, I just have it. When you say with less than 5 minutes a day by sharing a ready-made post online or whatever, do you mean sharing to our other Facebook groups that are not connected to? So if I'm in a group of like, I don't know, filmmakers for Honolulu, yeah, I should share it there.
No, you could share it there as well, because once you copy it, you can go to your own groups and share it there. However,
but I can't. Here's where I'm going to stop you. What do you mean? I can't. Well, because groups have a shared, a common sort of interest. So
okay, I'm going to okay, I understand that. What we do, we have a bot. Okay, software that scan Facebook and scan places into Facebook that talk about our war. So it's not random Facebook groups.
Yeah.
It's specific groups that our technology detect, and that's the places that we share our posts. Yes.
So
Okay.
you will tell me, take this post and post it to that group. Is this what you're
Yeah,
saying?
automatically. Everything is automatically. One click.
Right. So it's not my own
No.
groups. I get it now. Only now.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't get it before. No.
No problem. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone, and everyone that can help us. So it will be really good if we can invite friends, invite people from the family, invite people that suffer from the anti-Semitism all over the world, in America, in Britain, in Canada. Everyone is really important on this war because we are small. The Jewish community is not huge. We are only about 15 millions, and the terrorism is about hundreds of millions. So we have to fight and to be strong together, and everyone, it will be good. Everyone. So let's going to win.
Thank you, Boaz. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.